During our build, we made some calculations how much energy would we need to run all of our equipment on board. And it seemed that we did the right calculation there because we never ran out of electricity so far.
Sometimes we turn off the fridge, but...
Yeah, we had to, but it's another story. So let's go through the whole electronic system and see how much electricity you need to run all of your stuff.
So we have off-grid solar panels, which gives us electricity anywhere we are if the sun is shining. And we're usually not stopping in the camping sites.
What if someone stops in the campsite? Should they worry about electricity that much?
Yes and no. No, because usually you have electrical plug and you just connect yourself and you have all the electricity you need. Just make sure that the cable is not too thin and not too long. The longer the cable, the more waste you have. But sometimes we stop in a camping site and they say, hey, we have spot but not with electricity. So that was...
If they would they have the plug for us, we wouldn't have the charger
converter
for the battery, so it wouldn't work for us in any way. Because
yeah.
We're wild travelers.
But if you are the guy who likes camping site and you are more covered on this subject and maybe you don't need even solar panels.
What solar panels do we have? What we have on board?
At this moment we have 2 panels, each 140 watts. They're connected to the 2 batteries, each one is 100 amps, and we have a 600 watt inverter. That's what we have.
There are different shapes and sizes of the solar panels, so check what's the best setup for your roof. Check our previous video and see what mistakes we've done.
Aye.
Yeah, bad experience. And remember that solar panels not going directly to the batteries and they need a controller. How did we calculate our energy need?
We made a list of things we think we will use, which is iPhone, iPad, reader, computers, fridge, fan, lights. And we wrote down the list of how many hours per day we think we will use them with their consumption.
Theoretically, yeah. We were kind of guessing,
medium
like,
stuff,
let's say, yeah.
And we end up with what we need. So from that power amount of what we need, we started to figure out how big the solar panels can be and how many hours they can stay under. I mean, how much energy they can produce in our area.
Yeah, remember that it will never give you 100% of our output because of some dust on the surface, some inefficiency of the cable passage, and of course the tilt, the angle of the roof.
I think that's the big deal, huh?
I think that
the tilt is the biggest deal, because if the panels are not standing straight, I mean, if they're not
you just
going...
keep it 90%, the van can stay like that.
Yeah, so we just minus 30% of possible energy the solar panel could give you. So we end up with this number we have, and we just multiplied it by medium hours we need to cover the consumption we need, and we thought, yeah, 5 hours it's possible in our area to produce that amount of energy, and that's how we kind of
ended up with the 240 watts solar panels.
Yeah. If your device not showing exactly how much watt it's consuming, and then you can just simply multiply the voltage to amps and you will have the watt number. If the sun is not shining at some point, you basically divide the total amount of energy you need by 12 volts of your system, and you will end up with the number of amps you need to survive your kind of requirement for 1 day. And in our case, with our setup right now, we could survive 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
But as you see, what's the biggest consumption here?
The biggest is the fridge. It makes half of our consumption, daily consumption.
Crazy.
It's a big kick in our energy system, kind of. So we're comparing to electric compressor fridge, and it consumes nothing pretty much.
But
it's
they
very
cost
expensive.
fortune.
But I think that's what we'll go for, because with that setup, with our ideal setup that you can see here, we can survive like 4 or 5 days, I guess, no?
Yeah.
With a different fridge.
Without sound, without moving, just standing in one place. If we bought that fridge straight from the beginning, and we redo calculation like we're doing now, we would probably buy smaller panels and smaller batteries.
Yeah, so you can save some space
on the roof
and some weight. Of course.
space on the roof and some weight in the trunk.
Exactly.
Batteries are heavy, huh?
Yeah. We had to keep the fridge off sometimes just to save the energy, and when it's off, we almost consuming nothing of energy there. The battery is always full, and it's just beautiful.
We've met some travelers on the road, and they had a small van, much smaller than ours, and they just were surfing all the time. So they had a couple of iPhones, maybe Kindle, and
couple of lights. That's it.
That's it. So for that setup, you don't even need the solar system, because.
And I guess for a lot of people that will work just fine, because you need just to have a small battery and maybe a small portable solar panel or alternator.
Yeah, if you have the 50 amp battery, you have basically 2 weeks or 2 weeks of freedom staying in one spot.
Exactly, and you just put on the front, on the windshield, the small solar panels will be more than enough.
Yeah, and imagine you take a half an hour ride to the supermarket, half an hour ride back. Your alternator can charge 35-40 amps straight to your battery
per hour.
In 1 hour, yeah, 40 amps add.
So it's total, the maximum.
Yeah, there are different models, but the standard one which we have now is 35-40 amps.
35-40 amps. That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, so if you have empty batteries and we drive for 5 hours, they will be completely full.
While we were making the video about the electrical stuff on the van, we discovered this device that we didn't have. It's pretty much the same company. We have everything, solar panels, the batteries, pretty much the whole system, but we didn't have this one. And when we contacted the NDS company, surprisingly they checked our videos and like, look, you don't have this device, that it can be a good upgrade for your van, because it will optimize the work of alternator solar panels, and pretty much we can charge our batteries from the plug as well. So it can be quite convenient, even if we don't stay in the campsites that much.
What's the other way of charging your batteries?
There are other ways, of course, there are plenty of them, and one of them is the portable small generator that you just bring it outside, turn it on. It consumes nothing, almost nothing, quite cheap, and it can charge your batteries. Some of them have a plug, so you can just connect directly there to 20. So you don't even have to have an inverter in this case, I guess.
Yeah, but some of them has 12 volts output, so you can charge directly your batteries from that thing, and then
that can work. Imagine if there's not that much sun and you just put it on, turn it on.
If you want to be parked on the beach for weeks, you can put that thing sometimes once in 3 days and charge your batteries completely.
Yeah, it's really small, it's really compact, so you can store it really nicely. It's more like a briefcase, so you can just walk around with it.
There are different types of batteries, but the most used ones in camper, they're deep cycle ones. There are different types there. They're nice to keep the energy, but they're not nice with the pricing. They're pretty expensive.
Really expensive.
In case you have more than one battery, you can connect in parallel, so you kind of double your power, your reserve, so you can stay more out without needing to recharge them. Or you can connect in series, so you can double the voltage. And you can also connect parallel with series altogether, mixing up like you want.
Remember that solar panels don't like to be discharged to zero. We wouldn't even go like less than 20 or 30%, because it will influence the amount of cycles you have and the lifetime of your batteries.
Yeah, and discharging to zero without recharging the battery, you might even throw away the battery. But how do you know when you need to recharge the battery? How much? 20%? Well, how do you know that 20% is?
You need to look for the stars and see the North Pole star and everything. No, just kidding. In our case, we have iManager that do all the work for us. It pretty much shows like what we have on each battery, and it swaps for us from one to another, or put to charge both of them. So it's quite useful device.
Yeah, and the nice thing is we'll disconnect automatically the batteries once the voltage was going too low, less than 11 or something. And that's what you want. That's what you want to know is how much voltage you have.
If you don't have this iManager, pretty much you can go for a voltmeter. That's what you need to install, and that will show you the voltage of each battery, and of course the switch from one to another, or to put in parallel both of them, or to shut down all the system.
If you connecting the batteries together, make sure that they are more or less same age, same amps, same power. So basically they're more or less the same batteries. You don't want to connect all with new and
remember that the air temperature influences a lot the capacity, the output of the batteries. So don't expect too much from the batteries if you travel into the North Pole.
We have 200, but we're thinking that we have 160. I'm not considering the last 40 amps at all in the battery.
Yeah, let's keep them there, safe. Talking about inverter, you can limit yourself to 12 volts. And probably for a lot of people that can be more than enough if you're just using your iPhone and maybe a couple of lights there. But in a lot of cases, maybe you want to use more powerful tools, more powerful equipment, and that's why you need inverter.
Yeah, we have one, It's 600 watt, and it's we chose it because we were thinking the same way, how much energy we can use at the same moment. So we add up everything and we end up with a number and say, okay, let's take this. But at this moment, I think we should take this.
Our conclusion is we need a bigger one.
Yeah.
At least 1000 watt inverter.
Yes, and another point is we have 600. Don't think that you can plug 600 thing and it's gonna run forever. No, you need to leave some gap. Like for example, when we were building the camper, we used the drill which was 550 watts. We turn it on, it's starting to run, and then it turns off because it's not keeping up, with the high consumption, I guess. So if you want to use 800 watt, take 1000. You need to give a bit of space.
And remember that every inverter consumes some power, so don't go for the higher number for 3000 watt inverter because it will consume quite a lot. Even our inverter 600 consumes 0.7 amp.
Just to stand by. So for that reason, we will install the switch. So we kind of turn on the inverter only when we need to use the computer or other electrical things, and turn off after.
Can you explain the difference between a pure sin wave and modified wave inverters?
Modified wave is pretty cheap, and pure sin wave is basically the pure and clean energy as you have at home. So why you want to use the pure sin, where you want to use the pure sin inverter is for devices which will have kind of engine or rotor inside. So for example, the blender will run much smoother and with less buzz, with less noise and less overheating.
Yeah, they tested, they kind of, okay, you can use with the computer, but there is a high risk that it will overheat the charger.
Since our computer is not cheap and I don't want to kind of waste it, I don't want to burn it or something. So basically I wasn't even thinking, I just bought the pure energy, and on one blog we found kind of comparison between two inverters, and modified wave is basically kind of car with the square wheels and the pure sin is kind of with the round wheels. And yeah, both of them are going, both of them are fine. Yeah, but one is kind of jumpy experience but still going, and when the another one is just smooth and a nice ride. I hope everyone survives on the modified wave. A bit technical here. Volts are measurements of the strength, so how strong is your system, and amps is basically how much current you have going through the
kind of the speed.
Yeah, so if you have one lamp, it consumes one thing. If you have 5 lamps, it's consuming another things. And if you adapt too many lamps, the cable might heat up and burn.
So it's not a bad idea to install some fuses. It's like a speed limit thing. If you just overtake, you get this fine. It burns, but it doesn't burn the cable, it burns the fuse.
Yeah, and they're different highway, superhighway, a different speed.
Complicated, yeah.
Different super. So you kind of choose the right cables for you and the right fuses for the thing.
Exactly, yeah. The cable's very important. We did some research. We spoke with the electricians today.
Basically, you know what confused me a bit? I was thinking that, okay, for 12 volts you need thinner cable, and for 220 volts it's bigger number, you need bigger cable. Yeah. But in reality it's completely not opposite, it's completely slightly not correct. Basically, if you have 100 watt consumption on 12 volts, you need much thicker cable than if you would have 100 watt on 212 volts, 20 volts. And
exactly.
I didn't know that.
So be careful when you install on one cable, on one line, too many electronic devices like maybe fridge, lights, chargers and everything all together, because it should be quite thick to be able to bring enough power and to don't overheat there.
Yeah, especially that cable from the battery, maybe which goes to your main hub for 12 volts. You don't want to put too many things on that cable because, for example, in our case, the fridge, it's kind of big consumption thing.
Yeah,
so
35 watt.
Yeah, so we need at least 1 millimeter square cable for that one.
Yeah, but in our case, it's good that we install like different kind of branches. So it's to to the lights there's one cable, to the fridge there is another cable, so it's all separated. So we all kind of safe.
Check out the table and see how big the cable you would need. And,
exactly.
And that's why they on these electrical cable lines they're going up to 1 million volts. So there is no loss at all.
They're quite thick, should be, eh?
No, it doesn't.
They don't know. Okay.
Because you have so high voltage, your amperage can be low, so it's not heating up the cable, and it's quite efficient.
It's a smart move for them.
Yeah, maybe we should increase here a bit of power. So let's have a look on the MacBook charger, and we see it's 87 watt. But in reality, when you connect it to the wall outlet, it's not consuming 87 watt all the time. So as soon as the battery getting full, it starts to consume less, and when the battery is completely full, it's not consuming anymore.
And when it's overheating, it consumes more, no, I guess?
Yes, yes.
So what we've done, we drove in the night, we parked, and we decided to check all our equipment in the night when there is no sunlight and the solar panels don't give any input to the system.
We could just disconnect the cables, but it was kind of
more adventurous thing, you know?
We start from turning off everything apart of the inverter, so we see how much the inverter consumes.
Yeah, and after we'll connect slowly the phone,
One
the
of
iPad, computer.
And we just go through scenarios which might happen in your life. We
And
took some blender, another type of blender. If you want to make a cake, you have this.
We don't keep them on board.
No, we just for curiosity. And we took even screen here. Imagine you can put the screen here instead of the mirror.
Let's
and
do
see
that.
how much the inverter takes. So in complete darkness, it's minus 0.7 amps. Now we turn on the strongest LED lights, which are 5 lamps, and they basically consume you 2 amps.
So now we have the LED on the wall 100% on, and you can see it consumes 2.3 amps. It's quite a lot. It's more than the LED lights here above the kitchen. If we put 25%, it consumes very little, so that's probably the best way to use it. And the same you can see for the under the table stripe. When it's 100%, it consumes quite a lot. 25%, it drops drastically, and it's just 0.3 amps.
From now on, we'll keep the lights on and we'll start to test other things.
Yeah.
So we have lights while we're doing it.
I want to see how much fan consumes.
Okay. So now it's the minimum spinning, and it's a -3.
Almost nothing.
Almost nothing. Let's go up.
It's full on.
That's maximum speed, so 3.2 amps. So
It consumes quite a lot when it's running full speed. Let's see how much for each consumes. Straight to -6.3.
So the main reason of having 2 batteries in solar system is to be able to work on the road. And right now I have 18% on the computer, so for sure as soon as I connect it will start to charge. We have -9 amps all around, it's going up and down, so it means that the computer consumes around 6.2 amps, which is, if you take a 6.2 and multiply by 12 volts, you will have 74 watts, which is, this one is 87. When the battery is charged and it's closed, it's not consuming anything. As soon as you open the screen lights up, it consumes 2 amps more or less. Additional, when the battery is full. You kind of going to sleep and you have 2 iPhones on charge all the time, no?
Yeah.
Without light, you have 5.4. For 10 hours, it's 50 amps. So it's already...
It's like 25% of the battery.
Yeah. If it's cloudy day, you're not gonna keep your fridge on all the time. You need another type of fridge, compressor fridge.
Yeah.
Let's imagine you want a nice smoothie in the morning.
I would love to have one.
We turn on. As we see, it's written here 150 watts, and it was 11 watt more or less. So it was 130 watt. So it's basically, it's more or less true, which is fine. But at the beginning, you saw it's jumping up and then it's dropping down. 2.9. This one's actually consumed less, but I feel like if you put things and it starts to blend something, it will consume more. Pancakes!
Woohoo! We love pancakes.
10.5. Connect the screen. -5.1. So it's only 2 amp consumption. So this thing consumes like 2 iPhones. During the day, it's really possible to sit down and work on this screen. Even if you put much bigger screen, it is possible to sit down and use with the computer. GI Mavic Air battery, ready to charge, and surprisingly, it's -8.2 amps.
Quite a lot, huh?
what you can do is just multiply voltage 13.2 multiplied by 3.79, which makes a 50 watt, and that's more or less what the thing was showing us the consumption. So 50 watt, if you divide by 12 volts, it was 4.1, 4.2. If you want to know how much any of the device is consuming, just multiply voltage by amps and you have the watts. And then if you divide those watts to 12 volts on our system, you will have how much amps it consumes. And then you have your batteries, which is 100 or 200 or how much you have, and you start to think as, simple calculation. You have 200 amps. If you leave your computer, which is taking 8 amps more or less, for 2 hours, it will consume 16 amps. And surprisingly, your heater is also consumes a bit of energy. It jumps to -11, -14. But it takes that amount of electricity only at the beginning. Now after 5 minutes the consumption dropped to -4.8.
You know what surprised me the most?
No.
I will tell you, the consumption of the LED stripes at the 100% of power. It's strangely, but it consumes more than the LED lights about the kitchen. And it's massive difference, because when it's on 25% it consumes almost nothing.
But we will buy this remote control and when we test if these lamps will work same dimming thing, and if yes, then it's good.
Check it out in our refit video if it's gonna work or not.
Yeah, and another point is it's not electrical, but these curtains they're doing great isolation for temperature, and it means that you might use much less of your heater.
Because heater consumes quite a bit of power apart of fuel.
I feel like it's not a bad idea to use one line of products all together. Like, what I mean is from one brand.
Yeah, check maybe in your area what's, like in your country, let's say, what's the main kind of producer for electrical supply for the vans, let's say.
Yeah, and the reason is like a stupid example. It's like Macintosh and Windows. I went to exhibition of campus in Parma, which was a couple of years ago, and I saw their stand. Like that's how I discovered their website and the products. And the stand was great. The solar panels were looking
nice ladies, I guess. Huh?
No, actually the sexy solar panels, 140 watt. So that's how I caught the brand.
I didn't know that solar panels excite you that much. Huh?
No, it's not, but they looked quality.
I'm quite happy for them. I mean, they should be happy with us, because we left quite a few euros there.
Yeah, if you check out how much we spend on the solar panels and all those things.
Yeah.
But at least the stuff is good. Big importance is use iPhone charger on 12 volts.
Yeah, that's what we're planning to swap, because in a lot of cases that's more than enough, and you don't want to use inverter to charge your iPhones, kind of.
We want to limit the use of inverter to minimum, so we put that on-off switch, so we can use only when we need to charge computer or use some big electric devices. For everything else, it's better to use 12 volts, because there is no loss of, because this inverter is at 93% efficiency.
Where are the 7% efficiency going to?
But if it's sunny days, there is no cloud at all, I wouldn't even care to turn off the inverter. If you have more than enough energy, just use it. It's more in the winter when it's cloudy, the days are short, then you want to save as much energy as you can.
And maybe you got like the bad week or couple of weeks when there's raining.
And those LED batteries on the cupboards, I think it's a great solution also. It removes your headache of, passing the cables for each location. And yeah, obviously you need to charge them, but it's not that often. Do we need computers at all?
Yeah, we use them to edit, to make some videos for YouTube and for Instagram channels.
Oh, you said Instagram. So I will not stop promoting our channel because...
Oh, you're doing a great job here, I guess.
Thank you. Because I feel like we're putting a lot of time, a lot of effort to that thing, to create this nice video. And I feel like the Instagram make them unseen, so we want to encourage you to see if you like the stuff. And
check them out, and if you like, subscribe.
Well, as usual, this the link button is free for now. And
like button as well.
And if you enjoy this video, just subscribe, because you might see better ones, because we're improving here.
Drastically.
Voilà. Thank you. Arrivederci.
Ciao.